teacher Kelly. Welcome! As many of you already know, I am a recruiter, mentor, and interviewer for a number of online ESL companies. So if you're looking to get started in the industry, or if you're looking to add another company, check out my full list of companies below, and you can find the links there to apply. You can also find my contact information, so feel free to reach out and connect. I also do one-to-one coaching. So if you're looking to improve any aspect of your online ESL teaching, definitely feel free to, again, reach out, and you can also find the link to book a session with me below. Okay, that's my little spiel. Last little part. Please like, share, and subscribe below to show your love and support for my channel. Love you guys. Okay, today's video is all about TPR. TPR. So you probably have heard this acronym before, and I get asked a lot, both in messages and in coaching, what exactly TPR is and how we're meant to use it as online ESL teachers. So that's what I wanted to chat about today. So TPR is total physical response. Not gonna lie, knowing that acronym, the meaning of that acronym does nothing for you. But very, very generally speaking, what TPR is and why we use it, where it comes from first language learning. So kids learning their first language will also associate actions with words. For example, if a parent goes, "No," the kid very quickly associates that is no, and they should probably stop. Similarly, if a parent is feeding a child and they use the word eat, the child then learns the word eat as associated with that movement. So TPR is essentially using movements to support language learning. And that's why we use it in second language learning. So it can be a really, really important part to our teaching. Okay, so why do we use it in online teaching specifically? It can serve a few purposes for us. So we can use it to instruct the student and guide them to let them know what we need and what we expect from them. It can also be used, like I mentioned before, to demonstrate the language, like eat. And also, just as important as those other two, it can be used for engagement. Think about it in a classroom. If you have a 5-year-old student in front of you and you are talking to them still and like this, they're going to be done with you in like 30 seconds. You don't have that engagement. You don't have them really paying attention to you. But if you're moving around and excited to see them, "Hello, how are you?" Their eyes are on you. Your movement is keeping them engaged and active and involved in the lesson. So TPR can be used to instruct, guide, demonstrate, and engage your students. It has lots of useful purposes. To me, TPR is one of the best techniques for online ESL teaching. So, how do we do TPR? This is the most important part that I'm sure you care about. So there are 2 types of TPR. One that you see the most people refer to is instructional TPR. So what is instructional TPR? If you bring up any YouTube video of a demo walkthrough or an example, you're gonna see some teacher cupping their ear like this. So that's an example of instructional TPR. And that's one of the most widely used techniques that you'll see. Cupping your ear is simply telling the student that you are listening to them. This is their cue to repeat or say something. So if you've just said something and you want them to repeat, this is telling them to do that. Or even if you're asking a question, "How are you today?" It's telling them that you're ready to listen and you want to hear something come out of their mouth. Okay, another one that you'll often see is teachers pointing to their own mouth. Okay, so this is a really big one and it does get overused on occasion, but it's really a teacher-specific thing. When you point to your mouth, you're telling your student, "Hey, look here! Look at what's going on here." So this is really useful for pronunciation. So if I'm teaching this and the student's having trouble with that TH sound, I will point to my mouth. So they know exactly where my teeth, tongue, and lips are. It's saying, look, to my student. So I often use this one whenever I'm teaching a new vocabulary word, because it gives them an idea of what I'm doing here to make that word happen. Another one that's super common with instructing is letting the student know they did well. So thumbs up, of course, is a huge one for instructing and guiding the student. Yes, you did amazing. And then another one that you often will see is something like look. So you want the student to look at the screen, look, or look. And then another one you'll see teachers doing is counting words. Now some teachers do this, some don't. When I started, I actually didn't, but I have kind of picked it up because I find it useful for students to know what I'm expecting of them. So if I say, I am happy, to a student that may run together and sound like one word. So what I do is, I am happy. So it lets the student know that, hey, I'm expecting 3 words from you, or I just said 3 words. Not something I necessarily do all the time, but I can find it useful, especially for younger learners, to let them know exactly what I'm expecting from them in terms of full sentences. There are probably other ways to instruct and guide your student, but those are kind of a handful of the most common ones. And usually, as a little tidbit, if you're doing a demo for a company or a mock class for a company, they are going to want to see those. So things like this, and this, and this are definitely going to need to make an appearance in your demo or mock class, especially if it's for a beginner student, I should say. Okay, now that's our instructional. Now let's talk about our educational. That's just a fancy way of saying us demonstrating the language that we're teaching. So I've come back to the example of eat. So if I teach the word eat, eat, eat. So it's just acting out a word. If I'm going to teach run, run. There is no handbook or guidebook that will tell you how to act out every word. It is really a personal thing. How I teach the word bird will be different to how you teach the word bird. If I'm teaching a student bird, got my little bird happening. Other people may go, or however you teach the word is totally fine. But I do suggest being consistent with it, because if your bird is like this 1 minute and like this another, it may be confusing to the student. But again, it is a very personal thing. One benefit to demonstrating the language that you're teaching is it can really reduce teacher talk time and increase student output. Because if you get to the point of being able to go without saying anything and get your student to say the word, so if you can just go, good, eat, then you have actually gotten them to produce the language without you needing to do a whole lot. So teacher talk time is down, student talk time is up, and that's the goal. So TPR in that way can be really, really useful to really get that teacher talk time down and to build that student independence. Okay, so those are kind of the 2 types of TPR. Now, when to use TPR? This really depends on your student. I find for beginners, you often will need to use lots of TPR, lots of instruction and guidance, lots of acting out words. As you go up in level, you will find that your TPR will likely drop off quite a bit. For instance, if I'm teaching, say, a rather advanced student, I'm not doing this very often because they often can tell when you're asking them something or when you're wanting them to speak. But I very much will still act out words. I've taught adult, intermediate level students, and for instance, I've taught the word breathe. And that can be quite useful. Breathe isn't an easy word. It's not something you can very easily show a picture of. So sometimes just acting it out will get the point across. And it's not necessarily treating a more advanced student like a baby or a child. It's helping them get the picture and understand the word. So when to use it, again, is very much going to depend on your student's level. Another tidbit for demos and mock classes, you'll find that often these are aimed at lower level students. Not always, but often. So you will want to throw all of your TPR out there. Most companies want to see that instructional and they want to see that educational TPR as well. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little example of how I use TPR every day in introducing myself to students, just so you can see, what it actually looks like in practice. So here we go. Hello, my name is Teacher Kelly. What is your name? Susie. Hello, Susie. Good, very good. My name is Susie. Yes, very good, Susie. Susie, how old are you? 7. Good. I am 7. Yes, very good, Susie. Susie, are you happy or sad? Happy. Good, very good. I am happy. Yes, Susie, high five. Are you ready? Yes, good. Let's go. Okay. Teacher mode off. So that's my little example, and I do similar introductions to any new student that I have literally every day. But that shows a little bit of different types of TPR. So I acted out happy and sad. I gave lots of, instructional TPR. So you always want to try to incorporate those things in. And doing so fluidly does take a lot of practice. So spend some time, practice your TPR. If you're doing a demo or a mock class for a company, really take the time to record yourself, watch yourself doing the TPR, watch yourself in the mirror. Just practice, practice, practice. It's not natural, at least not for me. When I first started doing this, I felt like this was very awkward and everything else was too. But now I talk with my hands as I have been doing this entire video. So practice makes perfect with TPR. And I cannot emphasize enough how much TPR can really help your classes and how important it is to really, engage your students and help them to understand the language. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, if you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe and show your love. Goodbye, guys.